My husband threw me out of the house because he thought it belonged only to him. I quietly walked away, but a few days later, when he found the original property deed, he realized he had made the biggest mistake of his life. He opened the door, looked at me, and said exactly the way someone dismisses an employee, "This house is mine. You need to leave today." I noticed less anger than certainty in his voice, the kind of certainty that leads people to make the biggest mistakes, because when someone believes they are the sole owner, they forget that some foundations were built by quiet hands, some walls stand under someone else's name, and the keys to a house don't only exist in a pocket. Sometimes they exist on legal documents. I didn't argue that day. I didn't ask where he expected me to go. I didn't remind him that 20 years earlier, the down payment had come from my account, or that our attorney had carefully explained every document we signed on closing day. I simply walked upstairs, packed a medium-sized suitcase with a few clothes, 2 books, the watch my mother gave me, and the blue folder he had always dismissed as nothing more than utility bills. From the outside, our marriage looked solid, maybe even happy. Every Thanksgiving we carved the turkey together and smiled through conversations about retirement plans while he proudly discussed his 401k, and I nodded as though we were still building a shared future. At PTA meetings, I was the dependable mom who brought cupcakes on time, remembered every teacher's name, and made our family seem perfectly organized. Sunday trips to Costco became a tradition. He pushed the cart, I carried the shopping list, and we'd buy coffee, paper towels, and cereal in bulk, as though buying more could somehow make life's emptiness feel smaller. The change didn't happen overnight. It arrived quietly over the years. First, he took control of every financial decision. Then he had the bank statements sent only to his email. Eventually, everything became mine. My car, my business, my house, my investments. I could have corrected him every time, but I didn't. By then, I had learned that when someone removes partnership from their language, they eventually remove it from their life as well. His business struggled in the early years. Banks refused to approve his loans, and the inheritance I received from my aunt became our first real investment. We purchased the house under my name because his business debt made that the safest legal option. Our attorney insisted the property should remain protected. Years later, we refinanced the mortgage, but the title never changed. He assumed it was a temporary arrangement. I understood it was a legal fact. I never deceived him. But I also never felt responsible for protecting him from his own carelessness. As I walked out that evening, he stood beside the sofa and said, "You'll leave with nothing." I adjusted the handle of my suitcase and calmly replied, "I'll leave with what's already mine." He probably thought I was speaking emotionally. I wasn't. I was simply stating the truth. I moved into my friend Helen's guest room. Helen had sat beside me through countless PTA meetings and had known for years when I was merely quiet and when I had already made my decision. The next morning, I brewed coffee, opened the blue folder, and called my attorney. Inside were the certified property deed, mortgage payoff documents, the agreement both of us had signed stating that the house would remain entirely under my control if his business debt ever became an issue, and the latest property tax statement bearing only my name. I wasn't in a hurry. That was my revenge. Patience. Preparation. Perfect timing. 2 days later, my attorney sent him a formal notice explaining that he had no legal authority to sell, refinance, or transfer the property without my permission. I didn't cancel the utilities because I wasn't trying to punish him. I simply wanted clear boundaries. On the 4th day, I arranged for the locks to be changed, but I gave him an entire week to collect his clothes and personal belongings. On the 5th day, he found the original documents. Maybe he was searching through the study. Maybe for the first time he actually wanted to know where the insurance papers, tax records, deed, and mortgage files had always been. He called me once. Then again. Then 5 more times. I didn't answer immediately because some truths deserve to be read alone. That evening I finally picked up. His voice had changed. The confidence was gone. Only hesitation remained. "The house," he said quietly. "It's in your name." "Yes." "For how long?" "Since the beginning." Silence. I imagined he was remembering closing day, the attorney's conference room, and the papers he signed without reading because he believed he would always be the one making the important decisions. He tried to apologize. But I've learned there's a difference between remorse and fear. He blamed stress, financial pressure, and his struggling business. He said the house had become the last symbol of stability in his life. I listened. I don't ask questions anymore. I give answers. Finally, I said, "You didn't throw me out of this house. You threw yourself out the moment you decided I had no right to be here. You wanted me to come back at least temporarily. For the children. For the family's image. Maybe until Thanksgiving so everyone could keep pretending. But our children were already in college. And the perfect family image had been buried years earlier. We just hadn't admitted it. I didn't sell the house right away. I left it empty for 6 months before renovating it. I replaced the kitchen cabinets I'd always wanted to change, removed the staged family portraits from the dining room wall, and placed a small table on the back porch where I could drink my morning coffee without anyone telling me where to set my mug. The divorce was finalized quietly. We divided our accounts, separated our retirement plans, and his 401k finally became exactly what he had always called it. His. I wasn't angry. Some things become truly yours only after you pay their full price. I don't live in that house anymore. 2 years later, I sold it for a fair price without ceremony or emotion, and bought a smaller home not far from the ocean, where there are fewer rooms but far more peace. I still visit Costco once in a while, but our Sunday tradition is gone. On Thanksgiving, if I feel like cooking, I do. If not, I order takeout. I no longer feel the need to convince anyone that my life is complete. I didn't reclaim a house that day. I simply proved that a quiet woman is never an unaware woman. If this story stayed with you until the very end, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories filled with powerful life lessons. Your support helps us create more meaningful content. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.